Mr. Trudeau, I'm not here, so I can't see you all there. But on Tuesday, Dr. Tam and Dr. New gave new guidance with regard to three-layer masks inside. I'd like to know why you're not wearing a mask when you're speaking. You're inside. And I'd also like to know if you believe that parliamentarians should also follow this guidance. That is, should the rules in the parliamentary precinct be changed, particularly in the House of Commons? And if not, why not? Answer. Thank you, Lena. We know that the behavior that each and every one of us has does have an impact on COVID-19. Wearing a mask, a three-layer mask when we're inside, is very important in terms of guidance. You may not have noticed, but I try to wear the mask even in the press conference if I'm not speaking, but I take it off so that I can speak clearly. Some journalists here are wearing the mask when they're at the mic. It's important to follow the guidance in every situation in which we find ourselves. So we'll continue to do what we can. I believe that this question can be asked about parliamentarians who are in a closed space. We'll have to examine the ventilation at the House of Commons. It's nonetheless a very big space, but these are exactly the types of questions that we should be asking ourselves. When we enter a closed space, we should be keeping the 2 meters distancing and keeping a mask. If there's not proper ventilation, it would be important to wear a mask. I know that these are additional instructions. I know it's complicated for people, but it's important to do everything we can to prevent outbreaks, COVID-19 outbreaks.
I think it's important for all of us to try and follow the best public health advice possible. I have, over recent days, taken to trying to wear a mask anytime I'm inside, including when I'm more than 2 meters distance from people, when I'm not actually speaking. This is an extra degree of protection, but it's an extra onerous step that many of us are going to have to take on. But we all need to do what we can to slow and stop the spread of COVID-19. Obviously, everyone's situation is different, the contexts are different, but using our best judgment and making those little sacrifices so that we don't continue to see mounting losses and increased disruptions from spread of COVID-19. We've seen many of our allies in Europe have to go into severe lockdowns, impose curfews. We've been able to avoid that in Canada so far, right across the country during the second wave, because in general, we have been acting quickly and because the federal government has been there to provide support to individuals and businesses that allow public health authorities to go ahead and act quickly to prevent further spreads.
Follow-up question. I don't understand the logic of removing your mask to speak. Since the very beginning, Dr. Tam has said that it's when we speak, when we're singing, when we're yelling, that we're more likely to transmit the infection if we're sick. So I don't understand why you're removing your mask to speak. Perhaps Dr. Tam can explain the logic behind this. I'll be happy to let Dr. Tam provide expert advice, or Dr. New. Answer, Dr. New. This is Dr. New. Of course, if you're speaking or singing in a closed space and there's not proper ventilation for a long period, there is an increase in risk. But I think we need to be practical as well. As the Prime Minister has stated, we want to be able to communicate clearly. These are a few minutes in a press conference just to be able to answer questions when using the microphone. I think that's fine to be able to answer questions without a mask. But if someone else is speaking, then we wear our masks. It's not just wearing a mask that it's important. It's very important to underscore that all the instructions are necessary for every single person. Good hand washing, physical distancing. Wearing a mask is another layer of protection among all these public health measures. And I think it's a habit that everyone should adopt as a regular habit. As soon as you leave the house, of course, in the winter you're wearing a toque, mittens. Now, when you go inside, you should be thinking that you should be wearing a mask. If you're in a public space or even in a private home where the people in that home are not part of your family bubble or home bubble.